Hi, welcome to another day in the workshop. Today I'm going to cover a video on how to make a really simple coat rack that will look lovely in any hallway. This is a really simple coat rack. If you want something more detailed, this is the wrong video. But if you want something dead quick, dead easy to do that you can do with almost any tools, then this is the video for you. So let's get to it. First of all, you need a piece of wood. Now I've got this pretty crappy old piece of oak, to be honest with you. It's pretty thin. You can use any wood, of course. You can use pine and stain it if you want to. You could use spruce or any wood at all. But I am using this piece of oak. So we've got a little bit of damage, a split here, so we need to get rid of it. But first thing we need to do is get the wood square. So let's get in close and I'll show you how to do it. So I want 5 hooks on my coat rack. So I need to sort of roughly plan out how I'm going to do that. I think to go add a bit of interest, maybe go something like that. Equidistant. Yeah, I mean that looks pretty good, right? That'll do the job nicely. So we need about this much length, which is roughly 300, about 560, maybe 600 then. Yeah, to give it a bit of, yeah, say 600 wide. Then maybe not quite that wide. We could go for 130, could lose a bit there. Yeah, I think 130. So I'm just going to write that down. 600 by 130, that's our dimension. So, cool. So we just need to have a quick look at the piece of wood. I need to take this out, but that'll come with planing. It looks pretty good on this side, to be honest, but you've got this sapwood on the edge here, which isn't the best. So if I'm going to cut anything off, it should be that. Still needs planing on this side. Feels like there's some kind of crack or something going through here. Yeah, I think that'll do though. So first step, off to the planer. So the first thing we've got to do is get this piece of wood flat and square so that we know we're starting with the right base. So there's a few little bits need to be taken off. But generally it's not that bad, so I'm just going to take a bit off here. So I'll put it on the planer bed. Yeah, it's pretty flat already, to be honest. But I think this is the easiest side. It's pretty flat already. I'm going to set my planer just to take off just a really tiny amount. So off we go. So that's the top and the side both square. So now we just want to thickness it to make sure it's properly square. So I've got to switch this machine over quickly. So I'm just going to check. Yeah, so that is about 19. So let's start at 18 and go from there. 18. It's a machine set. Off we go. Got it in one. So now that we've got it nice and flat, we've still got this rough edge here, but we'll cut that off in a minute. So we want to mark 130, which is what we said we wanted. That's it, and we can cut that on the table saw. So just want to transfer that mark down the front. So that's the next step, and then we want to cut it to 600. So I'll just go ahead and mark that now with my other ruler. So I think this is the nicest part here. So I'm going to mark on 0 and 600. And use the straight edge to mark that. Same here. Okay, so that's our board. We've got our mark on for cutting. There. Okay, off to the table saw. Okay, so I've set up the table saw at 130, locked the fence, and now we're just going to run it through. Okay, so that's the hard part done. We've got a piece of wood square. Of course, it's easy doing it when you've got a planer and a table saw that's all set up nicely, but you can do it with a handsaw, no problem at all. Just to show you, that's all perfectly square on all the corners and square to itself as well. All we've got to do now is mark out where we want the coat hooks to go. So I'm going to place them roughly in position and just kind of guess at it. Now we need some holes to mount this thing on the wall. So I think that looks pretty cool. So let's take a measurement to here. So to make life easy for ourselves, we'll do 40 on the bottom two and 40 on the top two. So we want a line that's 40mm down from the top and 40mm up from the bottom. So make 3 marks. 3 is always best because it has like an extra one for checking in case you've made a slight mistake. Okay, and then just a light line, don't do it too much because you have to get it off afterwards. You probably can't see that even. I don't know. Anyway, same from the bottom. So that is our centre line. As the holes for these screws are in the middle, we know we can put those in the middle there. So, next step, we need to mark the middle of this, which is 130, so that's 65. So let's just put a little mark at 65. Another mark at 65. And then we want to decide how far in we want the holes to screw this into the wall. So 30 is too much, maybe 20. So yeah, let's go 20. Same on this side. 20. So I'll make a little X marks the spot just to make sure I know what's what. Okay. So to make sure these are equidistant, we've got 5 items. So we need to divide it by 6, the total distance by 6. So whenever you've got 4 items, you divide by 5, 3 items divide by 4, etc. So with this, it's divide by 6. Of course, 600 divided by 6 is 100. So we know it's 100, 300 and 500 for these ones and 200 and 400 for these ones. So let's get rid of these off here. Go on to our line here and we need to make a line at 100, 300 and 500, and then on the bottom there's 200 and 400. Okay, great. So let's just get our square. We need to make those a bit bigger because we want to make sure we can see them for the next part. Okay, great. Now we need to mark on the holes. So we can put this on our line. Our line wasn't quite big enough. So you're lining up the 2 holes with the line that goes across and then this middle section with the line we've just drawn. So that's easy peasy. And line it up like that. Brilliant. And then just try and make a small mark right in the centre of the hole. Perfect. Same on these ones. Okay, so that's all of our holes marked out. So now we just need to get an awl and push it in so we know where our drill's going to go. So if you're new to woodworking, this is an awl. It's just a thing with a sharp point. but they're so useful for doing things like this. You can get it right on your mark, push it in. Same on these corner ones we did as well. And just go around and do all of those. Okay, so that's all our holes marked out. Next, we need to pre-drill some holes. Okay, so I'm going to use some brad point bits, which are, they have a little point on the end. I don't know if you can see. And they're the best for this type of stuff. So we just want to drill a pilot hole to allow the screw to go in without splitting the wood. Now, the screws I've got are actually pretty crappy. These ones here, they're just normal wood screws. I would normally use nicer wood screws for something like this, but I need to bash this out. So you need to figure out what the thickness of your screw is and make sure that your hole, the drill you use is actually thinner than that. So I'd say these ones are perfect. So this is a 2mm drill. So just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go for a 1.5. So get that into your drill. Now, I want to make sure that I don't go through this, so just get a bit of masking tape. So I'm just going to pop this around the end here so I know when I've gone deep enough. It's not pretty, but it's perfect. Okay, and away we go. Hold the drill straight. Okay, so that's those ones drilled. So for the outside ones, we want it to be a bit bigger. I'm probably going to fix it to the wall with something like this. Probably this, a thicker one, that's plenty long enough to attach it to the wall. So we need to figure out how thick that piece is there. That's about 4mm, so we want to make sure that clears the hole. In fact, at the top I think it was wider. Yeah, the top is more like 5mm. Now these holes are different because you don't want the screw to actually catch in the hole, you want it to go straight through. So you can go ahead and drill these straight through. Now, make sure you're pushing down on this so it doesn't blow the back of it out. That's one. Two. Now if you've got a drill press, I would normally say use a drill press for this because you get split edges like this here, but as we're going to round these over anyway to countersink them, it doesn't matter on this occasion. Okay, and at the back they're nice and clean like this. Okay, so let's just do a bit of a test fit. We'll make sure everything's okay before we go ahead with the rest of the project. So I'm just going to screw a screw in here. Okay, so that's all the holes pre-drilled and sorted out. So I just want to check that this screw does go through. So this one unencumbered. Pretty good. That's perfect. It's just big enough to go through. So that's all good. So next then we need to countersink these holes here. So we just get a countersink bit. Okay, and then just very gently take off enough that the head of this screw can sit in there comfortably. Okay, that's this one flush. And this one flush, so that's what they'll look like at the end. We can always darken these if we want to as well. Okay, so that is all of our holes pre-drilled, but now we want to make it look a bit nicer, so we need to do some sanding, and then I think we'll round over the edges. Maybe we'll round over the edges first. So we need a router bit. Of course you can do it just with sandpaper and just sand it away like this, or you can use an actual round over bit on a handheld router or a router table or something like that. So that's what I'm going to do. Here we go. So when you're doing routing, always use a test piece because you just never know how it's going to turn out. I've decided not to go for a round over bit. I've gone for a Roman OG profile, which is a bit that looks like this. Let me just check you can see that. So that's going to give us a pretty decent edge, I think. So I'm going to give that a try now. Okay, so you can see the kind of profile it gives you there on the end, and that's what our coat rack will look like all the way around the outside. So I'm just going to go around the corner and double check it. Okay, so it was definitely worth doing a test. What I realised is it was actually longer than my piece of wood, but I was digging into the bench like this, so that's no good at all. Otherwise though, I think I'm quite happy with the profile, so I just need to do it and clamp it on the edge to get the right profile, so I'm going to do that now. The camera battery died, sorry guys, but that's the first corner done, so I'm just going to turn it around and I'll show you the next part instead. Now of course, if you've got a router table, you can do it on the router table probably a lot easier. I purposely wanted to do it by hand to show you this technique because you know, these routers are something like £35 I think on Amazon, and the bits I'm using here are really cheap bits rather than expensive bits, just to show you what you can achieve really with, you know, very little equipment. Okay, let's go. Take it in one pass. I took lots of passes. Okay, so this is what we've ended up with. We've got a few ends we just need to tidy up. Not too many burn marks, couple here. The better bit you use, the less likely you are to get burn marks. But it's pretty good. A good sand, and I think we're ready to go. So next we're on to sanding and how to do that. Okay, so I've got a few options here of varying different grit, but all I want to do is just take off any stragglers we've got, any hangers-oners, any hanger-oners. So I've got a block, a nice straight block, and just going down these edges. because you don't want those to split. So I'm only taking them back just a little bit. Okay, great, that's the bulk of it done. So we're just going to check out any burn marks. So now I'm going to get my electric sounder and just take that down. So I don't need to go any more than about maybe 180 grit. It's pretty flat already. So what pad have we got on here? We've got a 120 on here, so I think that's perfect. Let's just plug that into the dust extractor and give that a sand. Same again now with 180 grit. Okay, so that's the major work done now. The only thing left to do now is sand the inside of these holes here, which are actually pretty rough. So I'm just going to have a go at that with my hand. That is our coat rack made. So we've got the two holes, we've got the holes ready for fixings, we've got the holes ready for the coat hooks. Now all we've got to do now is apply finish to it. Okay, so to finish I'm going to use Osmo wood wax clear extra thin. Put a little bit on a cloth. And away you go. Cue sped up footage. Okay, so that's the first coat of Osmo gone on. I'm just going to wipe that off again as well. I wouldn't recommend using blue roll. Normally I'd use white roll, but I don't have any, so take off any excess. You get in those holes there. Okay, give your hands a wipe. Fresh bit. Then make sure you get into all these gaps. Make sure there's no oil sitting on this thing, because I promise you it won't dry for months. Okay, and that's it. Just leave that to dry now overnight. You can put another coat on if you want, or leave it like that, it's fine, and screw the hooks on. So I'm going to leave that now and come back to you when I've done that. Welcome back, welcome back. New haircut, just saying. Anyway, our Osmo has now dried and we're ready to put the coat hooks on. So this is the final part. Let's get in close and show you what to do. Okay, so we've got our coat hooks. All we need to do now is screw these in. We'll do them one at a time. So as I said before, these aren't the screws that I would use if I did it again. I'd use different screws, but I haven't got any, so we're just going to go with these. So all you need to do is put it over the hole, get everything lined up. You drill nice and straight, and very slowly, just drill it in, just lightly. Then get the second one in. And tighten them up. You don't need to over tighten them, just tight will do. If you're more comfortable doing this by hand, then of course do it by hand. Okay, and there we go. So, this project is done. It's not rocket science, as you can tell. We just used the OG bit to go around the edge to give that nice profile you've got on the edge here. But you don't have to do that, you can just have a plank of wood and sand it. So all you've really got to do to make this is cut a plank of wood to the right size, drill some holes in it and drill these things in. Like I said, I wouldn't use these screws again. They don't sit properly in the holes. They're not very nice. I'd use the same kind of screws as these. But for this project, it's all I had, so I just thought that's what I'd go with. Obviously, all you need to do is exchange these for nicer hooks, because these are pretty crappy, and exchange these for nicer screws. But the project remains the same. So all I need to do now is fix that to a wall, and that's it. Perfect coat rack. If you wanted to, you could also use hidden fixings, so you haven't got the screw holes in the front. I'm just doing it the easy way here, but if you want to use hidden fixings, you can use these type of fixings. Let me just check the camera can actually see that properly. Here you go. And so how they work is you put a screw into the wall, and then this fixing goes in here, and then you pull it down and it locks into place like this. These cost pennies, they're absolute pennies. So all you have to do is screw those to the back like this, and you can hang it secretly. You can see how it sits proud here, so you can kind of cut them in if you want to get it properly flush against the wall, and that looks really nice. The other type of fixings you've got are these ones, and they do need to be cut in, but they sit, let me just check the camera can see, so they sit on the board like this, and then you have another one on the wall that goes this way around, and it just plugs on onto the top like this. So there's a couple of options for fixings, but for me, I just wanted to screw it straight to a wall. So that's it, job done. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like the video, please subscribe and click the little notification icon. I'd love to hear your comments, what you think of my little coat rack, and how you would make it better. So let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. You haircut, you haircut.